A live look inside the White House right now. President Biden is in the Oval Office and is set to sign more than a dozen executive actions today. He plans to issue a national mask-wearing challenge, stop the construction of the southern border wall, revoke the so-called Muslim ban, and rejoin both the World Health Organization and the Paris Climate Agreement. Now that Joe Biden has been sworn in as the next president of the United States, all eyes are on him to see how he will begin his term, Walt.
Yeah, Mr. Biden is vowed to undo many of the things that Donald Trump put in place during his time in office. And joining us this afternoon to talk about what we could see from Joe Biden is Mississippi College law professor Matt Steffi. Hi, Matt. How are you today?
Terrific. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. You've been watching this today, or a good bit of it, I'm sure. We saw.
I've been watching and following it all day, yes.
Oh, have you? Okay. Well, then maybe you should be here at... No. Okay, I'll ask you a question or two about it. You know, we witnessed a peaceful transfer of power today. So what stood out to you, if anything in particular, from the ceremonies that happened today?
Well, a couple of things. And I don't, you know, to say we saw the peaceful transfer of power kind of buries the lead, and not just because of the horrific, awful, lamentable events of 2 weeks ago, but because the tradition of a peaceful transfer of power after democratic elections is America's single biggest contribution in the minds of many scholars to democracy worldwide. It is an unbroken tradition here and one that many other democracies only aspire to. So at the end of the day, all the sound and fury signified nothing that stood in the way of a peaceful and orderly transition of power, just like we saw 4 years ago when many people were in disbelief about the results of the elections. Things happened orderly. So that's a big a point of reference for us and for the world. The second thing that, you know, it was a little different not seeing cheering crowds, but if that's the concession to 2 weeks ago, to be secure and safe and orderly, then that's a small price in the long run. The other thing I think that really stood out is that today, Vice President Harris was sworn in, the first woman to hold national elected office, president or vice president, and the first woman of color. I think that's, from what I've heard, colleagues and former students remark, that's a very important and resonant moment in American history. Yeah. That people being born will look up and see women hold offices at the highest national level, which has happened in other countries for some time, but is new for us here.
Well, President Biden already signing a number of executive orders looking to reverse some of his predecessor's actions. What constitutional hurdles does he face in regards to that move?
Well, he faces very few, if any, constitutional hurdles with regard to undoing the executive policies of the Trump administration. One thing we see at the end of every presidential administration is a flurry of pardons on the way out and a flurry of executive orders on the way in. Here, they speak to 4 key areas where President Biden will be different than President Trump: in the pandemic response, in the aggressive revival of the economy, on immigration, and on the environment. And so the first step is to reverse the policies that he finds objectionable from the Trump administration. And that's easy. That's the difference between an executive order and a law coming out of Congress. A law coming out of Congress remains the law of the land until Congress changes its mind. An executive order is the stroke of a pen. It was implemented by President Trump with a stroke of a pen. It's now reversed by President Biden with a stroke of a pen.
Wow. Matt Steffi, I'm sorry, our time is up. It goes by quick sometimes, but we will, of course,
sure does.
We'll call you many, many times, I'm sure, over the course of the administration. Thank you for sharing some of your time and your observations with us today.